Hi, good evening, and welcome to the very first broadcast of Spirit Quest and the journey of life. So, I'm your host, Paul Francis. I'm going to be with you now every Thursday night for this forthcoming future, and there may be a new show joining us a bit later on as well. Reach across. So, we're going to be here live from 6 p.m. Eastern Time and 11 p.m. UK time. So, yes, it's late where I come from, but I love what I do, so I am a slave to the journey. Tonight and every night, we will have different topics to be talking about. I will be looking forward to bringing on professionals and specialists in their field to talk about that specific subject. As this is the very first one, it's a really get to know you, you get to know me, and we'll chat with each other and see how things roll out. Tonight, I kind of wanted to leave it really sort of in the whole Christmas vibe. Okay, I was doing some research about the Christmas vibe and the Christmas spirit or the spirit of Christmas, and I find some amazing things which I'd love to share with you guys. But I also want to hear from you as well. So talk to me, tell me all about what your thoughts are about this particular time of the year. Does I'm not really interested in the religious aspects of it, just your personal vibe. If that has a backup of a religious aspect, then fine. There's no sort of saying, "Oh, you must listen this way, you must think that way," blah blah blah. We're all open to the journey. We're all the journey of life. We're all open to that journey. We want to learn from each other, but at the same time, we're all teachers. Okay, as the great Robin Williams said in the Patch Adams movie, every doctor is a patient, and every patient is a doctor. Same thing. So, like I said, I'm your host, Paul Francis. I have been a professional psychic medium for 30 years. I'm obviously Irish, and I come from a very, very deep religious background with some amazing people in my family. And tonight, I want to sort of kind of reach back into my depths and share what the energy about Christmas was for me, but equally for you as well. What is it about this time of the year that gets you changed? What was it that sort of makes you drop your inhibitions? What brings the child back up in you? And let me tell you, that energy as a child is phenomenal. It's probably the strongest energy you will have, apart from ever bringing your own child into the world. You have an amazing concept there that allows you to tap back into energy that you created at your childhood. It's still available. It's kind of like on your own personal psychic shelf. And I'll teach you how to tap into that anytime you need it. What we'll talk about over coming years, coming weeks and months ahead is different topics. So those topics may be things like energy. Look, we're talking about tonight only more sort of psychic energies and energies that affect the chakras, energies around you, energies within your home, your workspace, even things like your cars, and how to deal with that particular energy, what it is you're actually working with, what it is that's affecting you. Are you aware that you affect the world in a physical and a metaphysical way as it affects you? We'll with things like one of the big questions I get asked on a regular basis about protection. And when people say to me, "Oh, hey, Paul, listen, how do you deal with protection?" And I say, "Well, protection against what?" So, and that's a genuine question. It's not me being facetious. It's me being protection against what? What is it you want to be protected against? And then we sort of go into the nitty gritty, and I will weed out the old wives' tales and sort of start saying, right, okay, now that we've eliminated what you think it is, you're left with what it might be, and then we'll deal with that. Self development that will kind of lead on. So, I mean, I'm touching three basic topics that I get asked about on a regular basis. I call it personal development. Some other psychic mediums will call it psychic development or mediumship development. I call it personal development because as you develop personally, so you develop psychically. And when you develop psychically, so you develop personally. Bang in, back into personal development. We'll go through subjects like of that, and then I will bring in teachers of specific fields in that, and we can question them, talk to them, and draw out the knowledge that we want to adopt for ourselves. I knew, for an example, I had the best teacher when she said to me, "Paul, I will teach you everything I know. However, not everything I know will sit with you." So I was like, well, what do you mean I'm going to get it wrong? She said, no, 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 no. What suits me may not suit you because you are a different psychic, a different medium. And I knew right there and then that I had the right teacher. And I will do the same thing. And then we'll get other people in who will share their knowledge with us. And we will then take out little bits that suit us individually because there is no one way to teach people how to personally develop. Okay. So, like, onwards and upwards, I'm waiting for everybody to come and join us on the show tonight. So, obviously, all the links are right there and everybody is connected in. So, you can click on those particular links, come on into the chat room and chat away with me. And right over here, I've got sort of information that I was doing some research on today. And I'm going to share some of that with you. Some stuff that I found out today that I was never, ever aware of, and that about Christmas. And again, while I was working in that particular area of business, the child in me was coming up that, oh my goodness, how many sleeps to Christmas. And I'm sure when you're watching me tonight or when you watch me over the next coming hours and days, you'll know what I mean. That buzz that we get as we were children, we couldn't sleep. That, oh my goodness, I can't sleep. How am I supposed to sleep tonight? Santa's not going to come if I'm not asleep. And that whole worry of that concept, but it was all based on fun. So the whole idea about that is it's the thought that creates the energy. That energy then becomes the spirit of Christmas. Okay. So when I say to people, and I was sort of doing a little bit of tests, I was going like, okay, when I say spirit of Christmas, what does that mean to you? And they were thinking, oh, when we get the family together and we buy gifts and we share gifts and we sit down to that beautiful Christmas meal or the meal before Christmas on Christmas Eve. And I was going, okay. I wasn't judging. I was just trying to figure out what it is that clicks for that particular person. What clicks for that person? Okay, not because, oh, this is the Christmas spirit and this is how you're supposed to deal with it. Not at all. It was about what brings out the best in us. What is it? Which part of that element of that this beautiful season that brings out the best in us? Now, for an example, I'm not a particular sort of, I don't lean in any particular way in religion. Okay. I was brought up a Catholic. I kind of call myself now a recovering Catholic. But because of what I did and how I sort of progressed in my own personal development, I really delved into different areas like Zen Buddhism and sort of areas of that nature. And again, I just pulled out pieces of that and thought, if this helps me be the best person I am, and then that energy will help other people. But within that, I was able to pick up and learn new stuff. That stuff I'll now share with others. For an example, my wife, she's Wiccan. Okay. Now, way back when I was young, I was told that those were evil people, because they don't follow the doctrine of the church and they're evil, and they're not. They're completely not. And what I was able to find out in my journey in researching for tonight's show was, oh my God, how much has paganism and Wiccan actually really affected Christmas as we know it? For an example, the Christmas tree. I've done some research on that. I'm going to share that with you in a little while as well. I mean, everybody will have the Christmas tree, be it a real one, be it an artificial one, doesn't matter. It's the energy that particular tree brings into your home, isn't it? Aha, there's the root of that Wiccan. Okay, the energy and why it was used. There's a couple of little scenarios that say where the Christmas tree came about, and I picked up on that. And I was looking at it, and a part of me was going, I can't grasp that. Okay, now the saying goes is that Father Christmas, Chris Kringle, Saint Nicholas was he was in the mountains in the hills, and the Nordic or the Viking, they were doing they were doing something around a particular tree, which we now know as the evergreen or the Christmas tree, and they were worshiping one of the gods, Thor. And of course, in comes Chris Kringle going, "What are you doing?" And he was, "Well, we're worshiping Thor." "Well, you shouldn't be worshiping Thor." And he took an axe to the tree, and of course, this set everybody off in different directions, shouting and screaming. And when they realized that he wasn't going to be struck down by lightning from the god of Thor because he cut down a tree, they were starting to listen to him about what he had to talk about. And the tree was then taken back in as a symbol of tranquility, beginning, peace. Do I bite into that apple? Mm, all honesty, it doesn't sit on my shelf too well. I'm not for 1 second saying that's right, wrong, or different. That's for every one of us to believe and take it on. And it's a beautiful story. It's a great story. It's a great link into the Christmas tree. And I was like, okay, do you know what? I'm going to share that anyway because it is a lovely story. It's got a wonderful, connection between Christianity and, let's say, the paganism, where they were worshiping Thor and so on and so forth. And that is the beginnings of the Christmas tree. Now, the Christmas tree came around in 203 or 208 AD. Think about that for a second. AD 203. So it's well before any Christianity came into play. So pagans and Wiccans were already working with particular symbols before Christianity adopted it for itself. Now, why don't we learn from that part of things? We adopt. We don't shun and put down. We adopt. Why don't we learn from each other instead of knocking each other back? The legend of Santa Claus, Kris Kringle, is steeped in legend, and it's oh my goodness, and it's one of the beautiful legends that literally covers the entire world. Okay, the majority of us know him as Santa, which is the jolly character but dressed in red and brings gifts to children at Christmas time. Now, the original Kris Kringle wasn't dressed in red; he was dressed in green. Okay, in fact, the original Kris Kringle was a monk. Okay, so he would have been wearing monk's habits and dark browns and dark greens. So that was the original. It was the wonderful people at Coca Cola that dressed him in red, and we now know that Santa Claus, the character we see as Santa Claus is in red, and that's where that came from. Um, his his memory, or the memory of Kris Kringle, stretches all the way back to the third century. Beg your pardon. And he walked the earth and became the patron saint of children. Now, how that happened was, it is said that Kris Kringle was fairly wealthy, but he shunned his wealth and gave it away. Now, where he became the patron saint of children was that he came across. Now, Kris Kringle actually comes from Turkey. Okay, that's where the legend of Santa Claus actually began, way back in Turkey. And it is said that he came across a man who was going to sell his three children into slavery, and instead of allowing him to sell the children into slavery, he saved the three girls by giving them a dowry, which had then allowed them to get married. Okay, and that was the beginning of the legend of Kris Kringle, which we now know as Santa Claus. Okay, so that's where he then started walking the earth and providing gifts and help to primarily children, where he then became obviously the patron saint of children. Um, there's such a vast knowledge behind the whole spirit of Kris Kringle that it would take 5, 6, 7 shows just to tap into that. But the only reason I wanted to do the whole spirit of Christmas, the Christmas spirit, is because the whole of this show is about the journey of life. And this is the time of year that this spirit affects us most. Okay, it's a time of year when we start to drop our inhibitions. We start to bring maybe some of those barriers down a little bit, and we start to maybe trust a little bit more. Maybe we just decide that, do you know what, maybe the world isn't as bad as we're leading it on to believe. And we start looking inward a bit more, starting looking at ourselves, starting looking at our family. We spend more time with friends and family. We spend more time with our extended family. Big question: why do we only do that once a year? Or why do we wait to things like weddings, birthdays, or funerals? Why do we wait to specific dates to do that? You ever ask yourself that question? Why do we do that? That just, to me, we need to really consider that. Another big question is, why do we wait till the 25th of December to give somebody a gift? Actually, that's not something we practice in our home. We practice giving each other gifts all year through. Okay, we don't wait till birthdays, anniversaries, or Christmas. We actually practice it all year through. Now, I was having a wee chat with the beautiful Michelle. I'm almost going to get her surname wrong. Uh, Desroche? Yeah, Desroche. That's it. And I was thinking about the sweets, and that's how I remember it. And we were talking about that there's a big myth that Halloween is the time of year when the veil between the two worlds is at its thinnest. I don't agree with that. I'm not saying they're wrong. I don't agree with it because the whole concept of energy is what allows that veil to be penetrated. Me as a medium, when I'm working as a psychic medium, when I'm working with on the medium side of what I do, I have to raise my vibration, raise my energy up as hard as I can, right up. Okay. And then so then the people in spirit, they lower theirs and it's in between there. So it kind of comes like that and it's there what the data crosses over. Uniquely enough, we're in such a mindset at this time of year that that veil goes like that. Okay. Without really that much work. It's more of a focus of balancing the frequencies and the energies that that I have to do at this time of the year. That being said, when I moved closer to Christmas, I actually shut down because this time of the year I devote my entire time and myself to my family and nothing else. However, I find that at this time of the year, the Christmas spirit is at its highest. Why do you think that all of the stories and all of the movies at Christmas time tend to be about spirit? Take, for an example, Scrooge. What is the whole three principles of Scrooge? The ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas spirit or present, and the ghost of Christmas future, the time yet to come. The ghost, hello, spirit. I mean, there is difference between spirits and ghosts, but that's for another show. We'll get into that later on. Now, going back to, for an example, the spirit of Santa Claus. Now, he was, I'm just looking at my notes. He gave me basically tracked all the way back to AD 280 in Patanara, which is near Myra on the modern day Turkey. And as I was saying, he basically went around and became the sort of the patron saint of children. Now, for an example, I only find out today that Chris Kringle's anniversary is actually the 6th of December. The 6th of December. And it's actually considered a lucky day. It's a lucky day to make large purchases or even get married. And it's a lucky day because of Chris Kringle. And I was thinking when I was reading the information, it wasn't a very lucky day for him. That's the day he died. But that's my comedic value. That's where I where it comes up in me. You know, people call me the comedian. Okay, and it's that that area, and I was thinking, oh, well, one lucky day for him. But do you know what? I take that back because all of the energies that I've spoken to through my 30 years of being a psychic medium, they're all happy. So yes, it probably was a good day for him. Um, in later years, then the obviously the stories moved all through Europe because Chris Kringle was very big in Europe. Then it penetrated across the pond into the United States, specifically New York. Boom! Chris Kringle hits the United States in New York. And that's real all the way back to around about the sort of mid to late 1800s. Okay. Around the 1890, it became very, very attached and sort of the media got involved and he started being used as marketing. And that's where the marketing of Santa Claus became. And he started appearing in newspapers on banners and posters and various stores, things of that nature. And it was around that time that some of the big stores then started to actually use a person where kids could get a wee glimpse of a real Santa Claus. So that's where this all becomes right back in the 1800s. And the biggest advocate, would you believe, of Santa Claus and the energy and spirit of Santa was the Salvation Army. Yes, indeed. The Salvation Army, right through to today, still uses Santa Claus as a motivation to help people to give money so that they can then look after people who are in need. So you'll see the Santa Claus standing on corners, shaking the bell with the buckets, and everybody puts their coins and whatever else into it. And it's at that time where the Salvation Army actually then gather all that money together, and they feed and clothe and house those in desperate needs. So Michelle's just said, Salvation Army. Wow, I love it. That's true. That's a true fact. And all of the work that I did today was bringing up stuff like that. Santa Claus is seen in different guises all over the world. Santa Claus. You can, I mean, but the weird thing about it that I found was all of the names that came up for Santa Claus, St. Nicholas, were all very, very, very similar. Okay. There was a very, you could easily look at the name and the word and say, oh, that must be Santa Claus. It was so cool. Once again, that link, okay, that joins the world. Why? Why are we doing all this? We have the technology today that no one person on the planet can't be linked to everybody else. Okay. Yet it took a myth to actually create it. What about that? What about that question? It took something like a man who shunned wealth, put on the robe of a monk to help children before the rest of us took note and thought, maybe how can I help somebody else? And why do we wait to December to go and help somebody else? My daughter said to me, Dad, we were walking through the city where I live in Cornwall in UK, and there was a gentleman on the ground, and he had his dog beside him, and he had his hand out, and my daughter said, Dad, shall we give that man some money? And I said, no, we won't. She looked at me as if I kind of cursed at her, and I said, no, baby. I said, what do you think's the best thing we could do for that chap? And she said, well, give him money. I said, no, the best thing we could do for that chap is give him warm drinks and food. She then sat back and thought. She goes, oh, that's a gift too, isn't it? I said, yeah, that's a gift too. And then maybe send him to a place where he can have a warm, safe bed for the night, like a shelter. And look it up on our phones, try and find a local shelter and say, hey, listen, if you haven't got a bed for the night, why don't you go here? And give him a nice hot cup of hot chocolate, a nice sandwich, something like that. And that flipped her mind around. And you know what? That for me was the best gift. Seeing her looking at a concept from a different point of view. Now, the reason why I bring that little story up is because the whole concept of that energy changed in that moment. The whole concept of her thought process and her outlook towards people changed. The whole energy changed between us. And you know what? It went from that to that. And she said, right, okay, let's see what we can get. Let's go round to the store and see what we can get off these people and bring them out and give them and go, do you know what? Here, get some decent food in your stomach, get some hot drinks in you, fight against the cold, and let's get you a bed. And if you can get a bed for tonight, that might then become the habit. You might want to sleep in a nice bed. You might want to get up in the morning and go and feed yourself. And that might be the habit or the gift that is truly of Christmas. Now, I have one of my dearest friends, Amelia Pisano, is hopefully going to come on in a little while. Now, Amelia has got a very strong Italian background, and it was in the Italian background that I found the very first connection to a female that was connected into the concept of Christmas. And it was a lady in Italy. Now, here's the funny bit. When I was doing the research, I was reading it, and I was thinking of Amelia, and I was thinking, laughing, thinking, when I tell her this information, she'll either shout at me, because it immediately made me think of her. But it was La Befana, that is Befana, and La before that, La Befana. Now, La Befana was said to have been a kind witch Yes, a witch, who rode about on her broom over the tops of houses and went down the chimneys to give children gifts. Good children, of course. So La Befana was a good witch. Once again, we click back into the concept of Wiccan getting involved here. And when I was doing the research, my wife said to me, "Are you telling everybody the truth?" I said, "Well, what's the truth, my darling?" She goes, "That the Christians took a lot of concepts from Wiccan." I said, "Oh, you can be assured of that." I very often take the mickey out of my wife and I say to her, "Tell me more about sleep." But that's just an inner joke between us, which I'm sure she can hear in the background. Now, the pagan beliefs and the Christmas tree all come from a specific time of year. Okay, and it's a time of year called the winter solstice. Now, it's also I'm going to say another word here for you guys, okay? And this word you're going to understand immediately when I say the word Yule, okay? What do you get? When you guys think back and think, I know that. I know you think the word Yule as in a big chocolate cake. Okay, a lovely big chocolate cake in the shape of a log and becomes the Christmas Yule log. Well, actually, Yule is a time of year for Wiccans and they celebrate Yule. Now, if you want to, where you would say to most people, "Oh, happy holidays and have a happy and Merry Christmas," to a Wiccans, all you got to say is, I want to make sure I get this right. So, have a happy Yule and a bright solstice. I mean, just those words alone feel magical, don't they? Have a happy Yule and a bright solstice. And that wouldn't bend any religion anywhere. It's a great concept, isn't it? And pagans say that this time of the year is the time of the year when the light and the darkness are in perfect sync and perfect balance. And it's a great time of the year for people of the pagan and of the Wiccan persuasion. You're also down. There's the Hanukkah, a Kawanza, and it's the month. It that means the month filled of good tidings. Beautiful, isn't it? So, what I want to get from you guys is what is your concept on the Christmas spirit? What does it mean to you guys? Um, just looking down into the chat rooms, I've got a few people chatting away over there, which is nice to see. I've got Joe, I've got Michelle. Lovely, lovely to see you guys in there. Canada's most haunted, which is Michelle. So, what is it with you guys that is the most? What does it mean? What does Christmas actually mean to you? What is the energy? What does it promote within you and your families? What does it do for you that you wouldn't say, for an example, maybe tap into on another time of the year? So I'm interested in all of that. In a wee while, we'll talk about what I've picked up with my work over the last 30 years with those who have crossed over, because a lot of people will say this is the hardest time of any time of the year to lose a loved one. Really? Or is it just because you're going to miss Christmas because Christmas will be affected by the loss of that person? Now, I put it out that way, not because I'm being controversial, but because I lost my father in the middle of the year. I lost my father actually on Good Friday, not this year, 2 years back. And so I spent literally Easter as he'd crossed. I spent Easter at his funeral. In Ireland, a funeral, when a person crosses, it's only 3 days and then we lay them to rest. And in all of that, and all of the concept of dealing with his crossing, sorry, I kind of was in a melting pot of emotions. And he was very my dad was like me, no patience, and he was really really quick at getting back to me, coming through, because he was bringing me signs left and right constantly, and signs that blew my mind. I mean, boom, gone. But it was Christmas that it hit me that he had crossed. It was Christmas time. He literally, I actually went down again, boom, straight down, flat, and I was trying to figure out why it didn't knock me on my butt back in Easter when we lost him, and it hit me in at Christmas time. I remember it vividly. I remember walking into a store and seeing this beautiful big sort of like cardigan kind of coat kind of a thing, and I thought, "Oh wow, that'll be perfect for Dad." And I picked it up, and as I picked it up, I went, "He's not here anymore." And I put it back down again, and it was just this a steady decline from that moment on to say that he's not with me. He's not here. I'm not going to be able to go and get a special card. I'm not going to be able to get a gift. I'm not going to be able to make a special call to him on Christmas morning or Christmas Eve or both. And I went steadily downward, and I couldn't figure out why that was the case. Why didn't that happen back at Easter? What is it to do with this time of the year that can take a negative energy and fire it through the roof, but equally a positive energy and fire that through the roof too? What is it about this time of the year that does that? Okay. What is it about this time of the year that we tap into emotions, that we tap into the whole spiritual side of who we are? Why do we wait till December to do that? Okay, and then there's obviously that little bit between Christmas and New Year's. That's a unique time of year as well. And then of course there's the New Year. We're going to talk about a little bit about New Year and how really I'm going to teach you something about how to clear 2022 from your system so that you're open and ready to take on 2023 and make it a great year. I'll teach you how to do that. One of the things that I also picked up in my time is working as a spiritual medium is that the people that we've lost, the people that have crossed over, they do not like to be thought of, sorry, as gone. They don't like to be discussed about as in we don't have them anymore, because they're around you. And the amount of when I'm doing readings, for an example, and I bring through information that relates to stuff that had happened that day, the day before, the day before that, okay, or something that is being planned in their coming future, could only mean that those people who are talking to me from the other side of life are connected with us every single day. Now, in that, on numerous occasions, I've done thousands and thousands of readings over my time. And on numerous occasions during those particular readings, I was told, tell them to set the table. Okay. So when you were sitting down and you would have set it, for example, in my case, I would have set a place for my mom and dad. They said, do it. Set the place for mom and dad. And don't talk about them as not being around. Okay. My mom left a poem for me. She left a little tiny poem. I have it in my wallet. It says, don't think of me as gone. Think of me as merely being in the next room. Okay. And I never forgot that. And weirdly enough, that particular little poem came into play to help me stop the decline when my papa crossed over. So they want you to talk about them in the present. And that includes this time of the year. Set a little place, set a little glass of wine or port or champagne or whatever it is that you enjoy, and then raise a glass to them at this time of the year. Okay, and acknowledge those. It's something that's done at weddings on a regular basis. Shall we raise a glass to those who couldn't be here today? How many times have you done that at weddings? So why not do it at this time of the year, like the Christmas dinner or Thanksgiving, for example? That's something else. That was a lead into Christmas. That is something that myself and my family, who are Irish, by the way, we celebrated Thanksgiving this year specifically because we have so many wonderful friends from the United States and Canada. So we actually celebrated Thanksgiving, and we became very, very observant of why and what Thanksgiving was all about. We are thankful. Now, my wife has gone through absolute hell over the last 2 years in that she developed cancer, which has affected her entire body and even her brain, but she is winning the battle. So we were very much thankful that that battle is being won and that she's still here with us. And I'm thankful for her. She's thankful for me and the kids and so on and so forth. And we're thankful that we are in good stead and we have a future together. So that thankfulness just for Thanksgiving should then progress on through Christmas and especially into the new year. When something negative is around you, it's up to you to either deal with it and get rid of it or carry it with you. In 2022, there's been so much negativity with 2021, 2020 all being connected to that disease that the entire world was affected by. But the person that I am, I always look for the benefit. Did any of you guys notice how clear the skies were during lockdown? How quickly the oceans changed during lockdown? How the birds came out more? How everything was real during lockdown. And I said to my wife, why don't we get the world to shut down for 1 month every year, shut everything off, and go into a kind of lockdown? Families became more observant of each other, spent more time together, created a lot more together. So rather than seeing the negativeness of the illness, I saw the positivity it created. We can then choose to go into 2023 with the positivity that's ahead of us and not drag the negativity of 2022 behind us. That's something I will teach you how to do. So discuss with each other and ourselves what it is, like what Christmas really means to us. Is it the gifts that are under the tree? Is it the type of gift that's under the tree? Or is it the fact that we were able to share each other with this time of the year? Okay. Like I said to Michelle, that veil between the two worlds is at its thinnest because of the positive energy we have around us in this time of the year. Our friends and family are trying to talk with us. They are. They're trying to link in. They're trying to let us know they're around. But are you listening? That's the question. Do you ever just go to a church, no matter what the denomination is? Do you ever just go to the church and sit? Try it at this time of the year, especially when you have choirs singing and you have the manger all set up. I mean, the cathedral in Truro is just an amazing place to be. I will often go in there and just sit and absorb the energy that the cathedral has to offer. And I will sit and listen to the beautiful choirs in the ambience of the cathedral as their voices travel through that majestic building. And it'll transport me almost instantaneously back to my childhood. I always come out of there thinking or feeling completely revived, completely energized, completely ready to take on the world. Why? Because I just sat down and listened. It is that simple. People will argue with you. Yes, of course they will. They'll argue with you. Oh, it's got to be much more than that. Is it? Or are they just a wee bit too afraid to give it a go? Okay, it's the hardest thing for any one person to do is actually look at themselves and actually judge themselves. That's a really difficult thing to do because you don't judge yourself on yourself. You tend to judge yourself on what you think other people think of you. What other people think of you doesn't really come into play. It's what you think of you. Are you happy with yourself? And if you're not, what are you going to do to fix and make your life happier? Because trust me, this is the time of year to do it. Where do you think New Year's resolutions came from? Where do you think that all came from? It's because we wanted to make the next year better than the one before. And the resolution side of things came then if I want to make 2023 better, I have to then make myself better. Okay. And what am I going to change about me that's going to make me happier with myself? Because when you're happier with yourself, that energy radiates out and people follow people. And if you see someone going, do you know what? I'm going to get up. I'm going to lose the weight that I've always said I'm going to lose. I'm going to take on a new hobby. I'm going to complete a hobby that I've started. I'm going to complete a task I've wanted to complete. Other people will go, oh my goodness, I've seen you doing that. Do you know what? I'm going to give that a go. So you lead by example. Like I said on Facebook many, many moons back, don't be the sheep, be the shepherd. Meaning that if you have the option to be able to lead and help, it's down to you to do that. Okay. I hope you're enjoying my show so far. It feels a little bit unique having a chat to myself. Um, it feels a wee bit unique, and that I'm sort of going through all of my thoughts that affect me. But then again, if it's affected me, maybe it'll affect you too. I hope it does, and I hope it does in a very, very positive way. Um, there are loads of meditations that will help you, that will help you change your whole concept of the world. My mom used to say to me, and I hear her voice on a regular basis. My mom used to say to me, "If you've got nothing good to say, son, don't say anything." So every time I think I get a wee bit annoyed at something, I hear that voice. Hey, if you've got nothing good to say, don't say anything at all. I can hear her voice shouting in the background. Oh, bless you, Michelle. She says, "You're rocking it, Paul. You're rocking it." News on the flip side says, "You're rocking it." Thank you very much. New traditions. Now, new traditions are a big thing at this time of the year as well. A tradition has to start. And why doesn't it start now? Well, it's a good idea. Why not? Okay. A tradition can come into play whenever you want it to come into play. Like, for example, my family and I decided, you know what? We're going to celebrate Thanksgiving and we're going to do it every year now. And hopefully next year, my entire family will come and sit around the table, 18, 20, 25 people. And my new family, all of those wonderful people that I meet in the United States and Canada, get yourselves over to Cornwall. Let's have a weekend of it. And you know what it's like when the Irish have a weekend of it? There are two parties in Ireland, and the two biggest parties in Ireland is one is a wedding and the other is a funeral, and both of them last the same amount of time. Figure that one out. Um, so I'd love to have your thoughts on that now. I would love to have your thoughts. So Michelle says she started a few traditions with her family, and now she's not ill. They've carried on the traditions. Now, Michelle, specifically Michelle, I haven't as yet got this privilege as yet, but I can't wait. Michelle, I know she has a grandchild. Now, what kind of energy does that change in you, Michelle, knowing that your little grandchild is now looking towards what's coming on the 24th of December, 24th stroke 25th? Okay, does that change you in any way? I know I haven't got any grandchildren, but I really am looking forward to it. Um, my children, my kids. Now, I say my kids. My youngest is coming towards her 16th. That my absolute baby is heading towards her 16th birthday, and my oldest is a pediatrician. So they still know that for dad's rules at Christmas are no socks or underwear, no socks or underwear, and I must have a gift. They must give me a toy. I must have a toy at Christmas. Okay, because do you know what? I love this time of year. I'm at my happiest. I bounce. I love it. I love cooking. I love the camaraderie. I love the jokes. I love the Porsche. Absolutely, the Porsche. I all my family said to me, "Hey, Paul and Dad, and what did you want for Christmas this year?" And I went, "Porsche," and they're all looking at me going, "Dad, I'm 15 years old. How am I going to get a Porsche?" And I say, "How did the men get to the moon?" And they figured it out. I went, "Go figure it out." So, um, energy, what you give out, you'll attract. So, I said to my children, absolutely no socks and underwear. No, thank you. But if you want to get me a gift, at least one of you must give me a toy. I want a toy. I want a toy every year. I want a toy. I don't care how big or how small the toy is. I just want a toy because that toy allows me to lock back into the child that's still inside me. Okay. And that child or that energy is the energy that allows us to get up and conquer. When I say conquer, I mean in a good way. Conquer fears, conquer our goals and inhibitions. And when you do that, you create so much wonderful new energy. It's an amazing feat to be overcome. I've done it many, many times. I've done it many, many times. I will share something with you before we get to the end of the day, and I'll share it with you at the end of the show. Sorry, not the end of the day. Um, a change that was so dramatic it changed my life. I'd like to welcome in my dear friend Roger, Latino Psychic Visions. He's in the room. Hi, Rog. Lovely to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Now, but just before Michelle's message disappears, her grandchild changed literally everything because he finally gets a full understanding of that special time of the year. Yes, yes, of course it does. But he gets it. But what does it do for you, Michelle? What did it change? And drop your inhibitions, drop your management skills, and I want to touch that heart, that beautiful heart of Michelle. And what does that do for you? Something I've asked in on numerous TV and radio shows or on stages or in spiritual churches all over my many years. Here's a question I'm going to ask you guys. Now, please take a deep breath, absorb the question, and give the answer. Which do you prefer? Which do you prefer? On Christmas morning, do you prefer opening a gift? Or do you prefer watching a gift being opened that you gave? So, which of those two actually works for you? Which one means the most to you? Now, honestly, if it's opening a gift, that's fine. Nobody's here to judge. That's not what it's all about. I'm just interested in the energy that it produces. So when you're sitting there Christmas morning and the people have given out the gifts, which is the best? Which really, bursts with energy? Watching a gift that you've given being opened, or opening a gift that you have? Which is it? Come on, let me know. Tell me. I'm a gift giver. I've no doubt because I'm on this show because you're a gift giver. And I love watching people open their gifts because it makes me happy to see them smile. I have absolutely no doubts whatsoever. You are a gift giver, and you're a gift giver on multiples of levels, young lady. Don't let anybody tell you any different. For me, while I'm waiting for the rest of you guys to respond, for me, it's that I'm exactly the same as Michelle. My Johanna and the girls were always like, "Dad, open your gifts, open your go on, open your gifts." So much so they go, "Right, we're not opening anymore till you open one." Okay, so I'm sitting there and I watch them opening the gifts. It's the amazement. That's oh my god, that think about that for a second. You have that energy. You received it. It was a gift. They opened the gift and they went, "Oh my god!" That energy that went boom. You got it. It's there. It's right there. It's like I call it my psychic shelf. You've got one too. Your psychic shelf. Okay, it's up there. So you can tap into that psychic shelf anytime you want. It doesn't have to be Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. Think about it. You can just go, "I'm not having a good day today." Close your eyes, let go, take a deep breath, and remember that moment. Remember the moment that your wife, your husband, your child opened that gift, and readapt that power, that explosion of energy, and bring it in, filter it, and get on with your day. It's there. It's on your psychic shelf. Create your psychic shelf. Everybody has one. I love watching others opening the gifts, says Roger. And they have to remind me to open mine. This is Faye, by the way. I love that. I love surprising them too. I love giving gifts out that they weren't expecting. Oh my god, I wasn't expecting it. Oh my god, like that. I'll share one with you guys. It was the first Christmas we've moved into this particular house we're in right now, and Joanna had told me some years back that ever since she was a little girl, she always wanted a grandfather clock. And I went, "A grandfather clock?" And she went, "Yeah." She goes, the ticking of the clock, and I could see in her eyes that it meant something amazing. So me being me, and I'm a bit of a git at times, I go, "Oh my god, I can't imagine having a grandfather clock in our house." Oh, awful things. Oh, that ticking up would drive me nuts. So I basically played it down. And of course, off I went and got one. Anyway, I had to keep it in the garage and I had to make it look like everything but a grandfather clock. And of course, Christmas morning, she came downstairs. Now, this is how observant my wife is. She walked downstairs past this big box, this huge box that was leaning against the wall like that. Walked past it, didn't see it. How could you not see a 7-foot box sitting against the wall? Anyway, she walked past in the living room, and so I'm standing there looking at her, going, and she's gonna ask me in a second, what's that big box in the hallway? And she didn't. And I said, listen, did you get your box? And she goes, no. And so I took her out and I went, this is yours. And she ripped into it. Of course, it was a grandfather clock. And I took a photograph of the moment, and the photograph is on our fridge. And she's like that. I often go to that moment if I'm having a week of it or a day of it or a year of it or something is, I'll go back to that moment when she opened it, and you should see her. She did have tears, and it brought her back to that time, and she just went boom, and we had such a great day. I love watching my grandchildren open up, says Eileen. Eileen, and welcome to the show. How wonderful to see you. Guys, listen, can you all do me a favor? Make sure you share the link to the show with all of your friends. Get them all in here. Teach them how to get in here, because there's a lot of people who know we're on tonight, but they're not in the chat room. So go out for me and teach them how to get into the chat room. Come on and talk. Come on, have a chat with me. I'm on for another hour anyway, so we're going to be yapping for quite some time to go yet. Michelle says, me too. I can hear her voice in my head doing that, actually. It's lovely. Roger has joined the show. Well, I'm so very glad to see you, Roger. Welcome. Wonderful to see you. Roger's one of my dear friends, and he has a fantastic show called Latino Psychic Visions. And I do recommend that you go and watch Roger's show on a Wednesday evening. Oh, Michelle, possibility there. So coming back to where we are, what the very first show of Spirit Quest, the Journey of Life, is all about. When Michelle, actually it was Amelia that first contacted me, then Michelle contacted me, and they said, would you like to, you can start straight away. My voice went, yes. And then I finished chatting with the guys, and I went and sat down, and I thought, oh my God, what have I just said yes to? But I've always been a big sort of believer in trust your instincts, trust where it's coming from, trust you're making the right decisions. My instincts have always led me to be with the right people and be around and be surrounded by the right people. I've always taught my children, if you want to be successful, surround yourself with successful people. And I seem to be doing that. I pushed out the energy to the universe, to the world of spirit, to my friends and family in spirit, and said, listen, guys, guide me. Where do I need to go? Next thing, I get a call from Amelia, and I get a call from Michelle and Joe, and boom, here we are tonight. It's out there. The ability for you to do that is exactly the same. You don't have to be a psychic medium with 30 years experience. You can be a person who got up this morning with no experience. Trust in here. Trust that energy that is around you now. Okay. What you give off. Here's the bit that I'm going to teach you. I did teach you that I did share with you that when we cross from December into New Year is the time that I'm going to say, right, we're going to do a meditation this evening. And the meditation is to get rid of all of the negatives of 2022 so that we're open to all the positives of 2023. And we will do that. That is going to happen. So in the future shows, I will be doing scenarios like meditations. But just remember, I can't believe I got to say this, but the law states that if I'm going to be doing a meditation live on a show, please don't be operating a car or any machinery whilst meditating. You have a habit of driving into walls. So let's have a look at some of the bits and pieces that I brought up this year. For example, Christians embraced the Christmas tree as a symbolic symbol of the birth and the resurrection of Christ. Did you know that? I didn't know that. Okay, it was later on in life that I only found out that we adopted it from the pagan world, but it's a symbolism of the resurrection of Jesus and the birth of Jesus, and that's why 25th of December is renowned as the birth of Christ. Jesus Christ wasn't born in December; he was actually born in around April, March time, something like that. But his birth and his resurrection are symbolized by the tree. Also, it's an emblem of immortality, the tree itself as well. And one negative side, there's always a blooming negative side. The only negative side that I was able to find out about the embracing of the Christmas tree as a symbol was that the symbol also symbolizes the crown of thorns that is worn by Christ. Now that was I thought, shall I share that with everybody? And I went, you know what? Yes, I will, because it's fact. Way before it was adopted, though, by the Christian faith, it was widely used by the pagan people and the Wiccans. But they brought it in to brighten their homes. Think about that, okay? The Christians adopted that as well. So we decorate the tree. Why? We put lights on the tree. Why? Because it brightens our home. What's the very first thing that you see when you well, what's the very first thing that anybody says when you finish decorating the tree and they walk in? What happens? What happens? They all go, "Oh!" I usually look at them and go, "You all right?" And they all go, "Oh, that's beautiful." It's touched them emotionally. So the pagan people and the Wiccan people, they brought them in to brighten up the home during the winter solstice. So it brightens up. It brought a fragrance into the house. It brought a warmth into the house, and it brought a beautiful energy, which depicts renewal. Okay, renewal, beginning, start. So what amazing information that I never knew until today. Early Romans, for an example, they actually used the Christmas tree as well, specifically the branches, to decorate the temples during the festival of Saturnalia. So Saturn, ALA, Saturnalia. Didn't know that until today either. Ellen says, "How beautiful it is! It's just amazing." I don't know if you caught it a little bit earlier on there, Ellen, but the Yule comes from that era as well. The Yule log. But Yule, we use Yule logs because they put the logs on the fire, which give off beautiful fragrance from that particular pine log, but also brings warmth and light. So there's so many concepts here that children don't know about that maybe they should. I think they should. I will be teaching those to my daughter. My daughter will be going like whatever. So, but I will teach them look. This is where the Christmas tree came from. This is what it was used for, and here's the goodness that comes from it. So Saturnalia was the festival that was the Romans had, and they brought the branches of the evergreen tree, the Christmas tree, in to actually decorate and use for that particular festival. The Egyptians used a similar, but they used palm green rushes as a part of their worship to the god Ra. But they used it under the same guise as we use it today. So they decorated, it brought energy, love, strength, warmth to while they were worshiping the god Ra. The idea of bringing the evergreen Christmas tree into your house represents also fertility. All the girls are going, huh? Fertility. All the lads are going, really? So, without going into my comedy routine, best pull that one to a halt right there. Yes, the Christmas tree represents fertility. It also represents, like I was telling you guys, a new life. Okay. In the darkness of winter, the Christmas tree was adorned with, at times, it would have been adorned with candles or lights or various trinkets that made it bright. So it also represented new beginnings, new light. Okay. We have so much that we have adopted from the pagan and the Wiccans that's not being taught correctly. And I thought, well, why don't I share it with you guys tonight? Also, another concept that came from that whole embrace was holly and ivy, and of course, mistletoe. I didn't find out where the beginnings of the mistletoe thing came from. I didn't find that out. I was so still wrapped up in all the other information that I find out that I was like, wow, my God, I didn't know that. For me, today is a brilliant day. I have learned so much. I love learning. So the Wiccan beliefs and the pagan beliefs, which are still going strong today, are embraced with Christmas and brought us Christmas. So rather than knocking them back, offer them a happy Yule and a bright solstice. My kids roll their eyes when I give them a piece of history in the background. Say it's Roger. Yeah, well, some kids don't like to learn, but I always say to them, okay, I tell you what, I brought that to you today, and they go, yeah. So what have you got for me? And they look at me and go, uh, nothing, nothing. You got nothing for me. You're rolling your eyes about what I've taught you, but you got nothing for me. Okay, where's the balance? Go find something. So, but they hate it when they come to me because I do a lot of reading and a lot of research and I love learning. So they go, "Hey, Dad, did you figure this? Oh yeah, I knew about that. Yeah, it ends with this." Or my favorite is when the kids come to me with an excuse and I finish it for them, and I go, "Yeah, I invented that one." Anyway, it's the child in me, so that's why the child flourishes at this time of the year. I love it. I love it. So come on, share with me what your best memories of Christmas time are or could well be of the future. What is it that you do this time of the year that you don't do at any other time of the year? And what and why don't you do it at any other time of the year? I had a friend of mine who kept his Christmas tree up all year long so that he wouldn't forget the reasons behind having Christmas. I mean, part of me went, "Oh, that's cool," and the other part of me went, "Yeah, but then again, opening the Christmas tree won't be anything new, will it?" So twos and fours of that. So come on, guys, tell me what Christmas really did mean to you guys and how it affects you today, um, and didn't affect you when you were a child. Okay, so I hope you guys are really enjoying it. I hope it's doing something for you. Um, please, 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 please go out there onto the Facebooks and invite the friends and family and show them how to get onto the chat rooms because a few people are sending me messages saying they can't get the link. Okay. So going back to what we were talking about, the links between this and what I do for a living. So this time of the year it's the height and the buzz of all energies. Now, I find it very, very difficult to be able to completely immerse myself in the joviality of it only because I do know there are people out there who are struggling. Okay, I've always tried to teach that the gift of Christmas isn't about the size of the gift under the tree. It's about the gift of love, respect, and honor, and that's the biggest gift: love, respect, and honor. I shared the story about Maya and the gentleman who was sitting on a blanket with his dog at the side of the street with his hand out. That's the sharing of the hot drink and hot food and showing him where he could get a nice bed for the night. There are multiples of people that live near you right now who spend Christmas alone. I spent one Christmas and it wasn't really necessarily alone. It was not with my family. One in all my years of being on this earth, I was a chef. I was working in a very, very big hotel, and I couldn't get off the Christmas period. It's a heavy period of the year for the business, and I had to stay in my little room all on my own on Christmas Eve, and I never forgot how lonely that felt. I mean, I was talking to my family. It wasn't the days of mobile phones or cell phones. So I went and made calls, and they obviously rang through to the hotel, knew I was there working. And we said our happy Christmases and love you guys and so on and so forth. Um, but I never forgot sitting in my little room with my little TV all on my own that one Christmas, how particularly lonely that was. I vowed never to do it again, and I haven't. But there we go. So there are people around you, and I'm really, really sorry to say it tends to be the elderly who will be on their own. Maybe they'll be a husband and wife, but maybe they're just a little bit too old to be able to celebrate Christmas like they used to. So why not take a half an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever, and go and knock on their door and just spend a little bit of time with them. There's nothing better for a person to interface with another person. That's something that I find with the kids of today is disappearing. They don't interface with each other. They interface with equipment, cell phones, computers. One of my kids got a watch. Oh, it's not, she talks to the watch, but I've noticed that they don't integrate with each other much anymore, which is a kind of a bad thing, in my opinion. I'm going to add in one of my dearest pals. Look at that.
Hi, how are you?
I am phenomenal. How are you?
I'm good. How's your first hour going?
I can't believe it's an hour gone past already.
Right? It's so much fun. And welcome to the network. Couldn't
Oh,
be
thank you.
happier for you. Couldn't be
Oh,
happier to
hey,
have you.
you are the one that got me here, and I'm so very, very glad. Thank you so much for
No,
doing
I
that.
just put a name in. You did the rest. It's all you, darling. Was speaking to a mutual friend earlier, and he said to say
You are?
hello. Bobby Brown.
Who's that?
Bobby.
Oh, Bobby. Oh, my
Yeah.
dear Bobby. And I'm trusting he's well.
Yeah, he is. He was working, and I just I needed a question answered, and I called him to say hello. And not all the time do you get him because he's very busy. He's either in court or filming
Oh,
or working. He works a lot, so
he is like an oracle, isn't he? He's killing it. He's one of these.
yeah.
I don't. What I'm about to say, I don't mean in any way derogatorial, but he reminds me of my dad.
Hmm.
Only
Hardworking.
because he's constantly working. He's just an oracle. My father knew everything and everybody. You know, those. He's one of those people.
Yes.
Now, I mentioned to you briefly in a wee chat on Messenger about the Italian Christmases
Oh, la
and the energy about
Befana, la
La
Befana,
Befana.
la
So,
Befana, the Epiphany.
a witch.
Yes, and you want to talk about that? Is that it's
Yeah.
weird doing this.
I
Usually we're
I was
doing readings, so this is a
I
little
know
bizarre.
we're all doing Amelia and I used to have a show a couple of years back, and we it was like one read after another. It was just kept reading. I
Oh,
mean,
exhausting.
so this kind of show is like almost alien to us. We're on the right
Yes.
network for that, aren't we?
Yeah. We
Um,
have all kinds of shows on
but
this network. Yeah, we have all
um,
kinds of shows here.
I have to say though, when I was reading that information on La Befana, you shot straight into my mind, not in a derogatorial sense, but I wonder how
Yeah.
you're going to approach this, how you'll take this data on board.
Well, I can tell you the story that I was given.
Yeah, yeah,
Again,
go
I
for
say
it.
given. I just got to click on my sound because you're coming in low for me. I'm just going to
Okay.
check my just my own sound so I can get. There we go. Am I too loud?
No, you're beautiful. You're coming through
Okay,
beautiful.
perfect, perfect, perfect. I'm just going to move that just a little bit. Okay. La Befana is actually, I know it's like a strega. Yeah, yeah, I get that, right? But it's
Yeah.
what they started. My mother told me that, well, my dad told me actually. My father told me that the story behind the fun is simply because the the witch was meant to scare the children so that they would be good. So it was a way of
Ah,
getting them through the holidays because it's actually on the Epiphany that La Befana comes door to door. Now she doesn't bring presents; she would bring treats like oranges and nuts because you're talking about a time when there wasn't anything. You're talking about wartime and
Yes.
medieval time. This legend goes way way back. So they would, and if you were bad, just like we say with Saint Nick, you got coal. So Santa
Oh,
Claus
right.
didn't
Okay.
come into the European side. I don't know about Ireland, but for Italy, Santa didn't come in until, gosh, years and years later, probably this last century.
1800s. It was
Yeah,
1800,
it was really,
1823.
and I
I don't
think it
know.
hit it. I think Santa hit Italy even after that. I think it was the 1900s
Yeah.
after the war, but it, because my father was born in 1938, so he was growing up during the 40s, and it was always La Befana. There was no saint. Saint
Right.
Nicholas was a saint, but not a
Yes.
Santa. So yeah, so it was a
And
way
he
of keeping the
began
kids in
mm,
check.
in Czech, which is not a bad thing, really.
But
But
she's based
and
on a
Saint
true
Nicholas,
story, though.
she is
She
really.
is based on a true story of a woman that would go door to door, and that's what I was told. Now, I don't know
Yeah.
what anybody, every region of Italy has their own story, but what I was told for southern Italy, because there's just so funny, I was told that there was a woman who would go and bring things to children, and
All
then
right.
they started using it in a different sense. But my father said it was a lure to keep him to, in line to
In line.
behave.
Well, I mean, I can. My memory is like if you're not in bed and asleep before a certain time, he won't come, and I mean that's the
Oh
worst
wow,
thing
yes,
ever.
yes, yes.
And of course, so but it was like the coal was a concept, the coal was a
Yes.
big thing. What do you want to get up to on Christmas morning to do? Do you want to get up and play with your toys, or would you like to fill the coal scuttle? And it was like, oh, well, I'm off to bed then. Good night.
Night
Our
night.
room is done. Good night. Love yous. Good night. That was the only time of the year we ever told our parents we loved them, but it was not coming up to birthdays. But it's like these as you know, we from old, I love learning about myths, and I love learning about different things, and especially of Italy, because Italy's got such a beautiful rich history. But some of the information that I was picking up of here, it seems that Chris Kringle, or Santa Claus, well, he came into play in Turkey,
Hmm.
which is not too far from Italy. But he then then the Romans had a big thing to do with it, and the Egyptians had a big concept with it as well. So it kind of, in that, if you want to put Europe as a central point, it kind of started there and spread out. And it wasn't
Yes,
till late till it came over to New York, actually, that it then went bang into
of
what it is
course.
today. Now,
Commercial.
I've got something, because I know you have a big child's heart. I know you do.
Oh, I love Santa.
I'm going. Now, where was it? I did write it down. Let me just get the information, make sure I've got it right, because I don't want to make myself look like an idiot.
No
There's La
problem.
Befana. Oh, how many reindeer? Here's a good question for you guys. How many original reindeer were there?
Original? There's
Yes.
Dasher and Dancer and Donner, Blitzen, Cupid. So 8?
Yes.
Yeah,
Good.
and
Well
then
done.
Rudolph. I sang it.
Did you?
I sang it in my head.
You
Yes,
see what I mean, folks? She's
yeah,
singing it in her head. She's
yes.
giving off an energy.
I
That's
love
what I'm talking
Christmas
about.
carols.
The
I sing them.
spirit of Christmas.
Oh yeah, Christmas carols start right after Halloween here in Canada. So my radio station stays on there in the truck and at home. And my daughter loves Christmas. So we're like
Yeah.
really big on it. Yeah, we do the whole, the music goes on when you're doing the tree and everything, but yeah.
I got you were absolutely right. It was Rudolph didn't come in till well late. And do you know where it came from? Rudolph came from?
No,
You should, because I know you, on a
I probably
personal
do. I
level.
just don't remember.
One of your
Yes.
pastimes is
Now all the kids are going to email me. You know Santa?
one of your pastimes is, shall we say, what do we call it? Retail therapy.
Oh, shoes. Shoes. I
It
just
was
got a
a
pair of boots
massive
today, but
store, uh, the Montgomery Ward department store, that actually created the ninth ninth reindeer, Rudolph.
You're
And
kidding.
no, and there was a gentleman there, and I'm just trying to get his name before I get it. And he actually, it was written in the 1890s that he wrote this story. It was a night before Christmas, and it all
Wow.
links in with that, and that's where
Okay.
Rudolph came from. And the original story, it was a night before Christmas, wasn't actually called that. It was called something else, and I have written it down, but I can't remember where I wrote it.
It
Um,
is a different name. That's true. Because it's a really, really old story,
it
right?
is. It was
Yeah.
written initially as a poem,
Hmm.
and then it progressed into becoming a story, which is something one of the things that I used to do was sit down with a whole pile of kids, give them all chocolate and marshmallows, and read them a night before Christmas. I used to do that because I'm a real live Santa, and I've got the stomach, the belly to
He's
match.
a good daddy. Yeah.
Well, I've always saying that. There was one year that I went and I did all that, and I there was all of the children staying at the resort that I was working at, and I read them the night before Christmas. They all had
Hmm.
chocolate and marshmallows, and I we finished the whole night, and I got up and I went home, and I got a phone call, and they said, "Paul, you all right?" I said, "Yeah, yeah." They said, "Have you forgotten anything?" No. They went, "Are you sure you haven't forgotten anything?" I said, "No." They said, "You haven't forgotten two children?" I left my two kids at work.
Oh my God.
I zoomed home because I didn't want to miss Santa. I left my two
Oh
kids at
my
work,
God.
so I had to go back and get them.
That is, wow. That takes
That's
courage to announce that.
that was Maya. Maya was the baby,
Oh crap.
and I left her. And as it happens, though, there was a wonderful talk about things having to happen. And again, this is not me going off piece. This has really a lot to do with tonight's show, the Christmas spirit, the spirit of Christmas. As I went back and got them, of course, I was not ridiculed, but everybody was having a giggle at me, of course. So I picked up my two children, loving them to bits, put them in the car, took them home. And as we were coming in, I promise you, boom, a star shot right over the house.
Beautiful.
Okay. And bells rang, little ching, 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 ching bells like that. And the kids looked at me and I went, "Well, I'm standing beside you. It wasn't me."
It was the
Because
Greys bringing Santa.
they, yeah, it was ching, ching, ching. And the two kids, or one's coming on 19 and Maya's coming 16, and they will both
Wow.
tell you that I was standing beside them when this star shot right over the house and they could hear these Christmas bells in the background. And I
Oh
said,
my
"There you
gosh.
go." And they
Beautiful.
shot through the door straight into the bedrooms, and I didn't see them again till the following morning.
See, because they knew we have to get to bed now.
I know.
They
Well,
knew, right?
oh my goodness. Well,
Wow. I
my
love
my
Santa.
mm,
Santa's
I
so good
love.
to me.
I was saying to Michelle, I can't wait to be a granddaddy. So
Is
I'm
this
going to be.
happening? Is there something I should know?
Well, no, Rosie, my oldest, is getting married in
Oh,
June,
congratulations.
so I've got
Gosh.
to go on a strict regime of dieting and exercise to get ready for the suit. Giving her away.
You sound like Joe. Okay.
Arr. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
well, no, us men, we have a duty, and that duty must be prevailed. And
It's a
certain
beautiful
things,
thing to walk your daughter down the
ah,
aisle.
us men, we have a duty because we face that duty ourselves. So I remember saying to Joel, who's going to be my son-in-law, you have only one test, and that's it. And if you pass that test, you're good to go. And he said, "What's that?" I said, "We hang you over a cliff with one hand, and if you make it till morning, you're in." It's as simple as that.
As
And
you
that's the
just need
truth.
one warning, to keep them in
Uh,
line.
I don't have to. Rosie
Just
would
the
take care of all business.
yeah, like, exactly.
Rosie rules that roost. Anyway, Amelia Pisano, you just do not get any older. You look younger, if anything.
Oh God, no, it's the lighting, but thank you. It's the lighting.
I've
It's
seen
very
Christmas.
dark.
I've seen pictures of your house of Christmas is old gone by, and
Yes.
you have
Oh,
that
way
monstrous
old.
big tree.
Yes, I
Um,
still have it. I still have it. I've never had a real tree. And
yeah,
I think it's I never really wanted one. And I know some people will be like, "Oh, how can you not have a real tree?" I feel like you're killing something for a couple weeks, and
true.
it's just that feeling for me. I can't do it. If you love the smell of the pine, just get some spray or candles.
Yeah,
But I like the artificial tree. I've had that tree for 29 years
Wow.
and it's worth it. You know, it was worth it. And we actually have to decorate the entirety of it because where it is
Yeah,
in the hallway, it's
it's
not in a
huge.
corner where I can't decorate the back. So you can just imagine it's about 14 feet. So you could just imagine about 5, almost 6 feet round at the bottom, how
Yeah.
many ornaments are on that. But John's great. He puts them all up. Um, and Sabrina, my daughter, but I do the other stuff around the house and I'm terrible. I'll come by and I'll move things after
Oh
they're
yeah.
done. I'm like,
Do you know what? I'm gonna say it quietly because they're in another room over there.
yeah, they're
But
sleeping. It's late for
I
you.
I do these. I do the same. I wait and I let them finish and I look at it and go, that's not balanced, and I
Oh,
have to
I
go
don't
to
say
watch it.
anything. I just move them.
Oh, I get
See,
shattered out if I go. No, don't put it there. Put it here.
I've
I get
collected
the look.
those. Oh, yeah, of course. I collected those ornaments for years upon years, even before I was even in my 20s. From a little girl, I've always loved Christmas. My mother and dad have given me that.
Yeah.
It was always a happy time and family together and lots of food and lots of celebration. It was a big event. So I've been collecting ornaments for years. And thank God, 'cause that's a big
Yeah.
tree. But I continue to buy them every year. But ornaments are not just ornaments for me. You can point to any ornament and I can give you a story.
Memories. Yes.
Absolutely. Memories. I have them in memoriam of my father, my brother, my sister, my mom.
Yes.
I also have moments, funny because that was the name of our
That
show.
was our show.
But yeah, and I also have moments in life that matter to me. Like my father loved cannoli, and he never had a sweet tooth. And towards the end of his life, that's all he would eat. So I would constantly go and get them and drop them off. And I
Yeah.
was fortunate enough that things were open when a month before he passed away, and I could sit there and watch him eat four. My dad, four.
I don't
And
think I've had the privilege of scoffing a cannoli.
oh, well, you'd have to have one. Well, you can have one in Italy. You're closer to Italy than you are to Canada. But
That's true.
I, I'm not big on them. I'll eat one or whatever. I'm not a big sweet tooth. I like my food, but um,
I know. I've
I
seen your spreads. I think when you get into that kitchen of yours and you
yeah,
let fly and these
I
amazing
do, and
dishes appear.
I do bake, but I'm not the big. I bake for other people. Like I bake for my family and for holidays and things like that. I'll taste it and then I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I'd rather have food instead. I can't fathom drinking my calories or eating them in sugar. That's just me, right? But
Okay. Well,
yeah,
that's a
it's just
good
one of those
link.
things.
So actually quite a good link, and a link that I never sort of put down on what I want to talk about tonight. Um, but food is an equal part of the whole energy of Christmas. Now,
Yes.
I kind of wanted I sort of entitled the show "The Christmas Spirit," the spirit of Christmas, because to me those are two separate objects. The Christmas spirit, okay, and the spirit of Christmas. The
Yes.
spirit of Christmas is something that we can all share because we all understand what we're talking about. There's not a person that's not listening to us tonight going, oh yeah, I did that. Oh yes, I remember that with the Christmas baubles and the Christmas trees and especially the ones that the children made it in
I s-
school.
yeah,
You
I still
know,
have my
with
niece and nephews
they're
from
still
there.
in there. Yep,
Yeah,
there's
not just
the
my
ones that
daughter, but the little
yeah.
like my nieces are just a few years younger than me. Well, a few, 10. But I mean, I still have the stuff that they made me as children in school. I still have all
Yes,
of those on the tree.
on the tree. There's
Yeah.
a Rudolph in the middle of the tree that sits on the branches that Maya made when she was over in this part of the world. We call it primary
Oh,
school, and
yes.
it looked like roadkill,
Here
but
too.
nonetheless, it's there. And
Yeah.
so that concept, and I mean, you just described it in such a way, and I'm going to be totally honest here. You brought me back to my childhood when you were discussing about the different baubles and it being
Yes.
created, because that was my mom's thing. My mom created such a tree that all of my pals from far and wide would come to our house, not to
Just to
visit
see it,
me, just to
just to
see
see the
mom.
tree.
And they called her
Oh,
mom. They used to call my mother,
that's
"Hey,
beautiful.
mom," and they walk in the door,
Yeah.
and she's about your height, 4'8", and
Four.
they'd
I'm not
all
4'8".
hug her.
You might be. I'm not. I'm 5'4". But anyways.
So they'd hug her and they'd give her a big kiss on the top of the head, and they would just come to glow at the tree. Now that's what I call the Christmas spirit. Okay,
Yeah.
because I can still feel that. I can still feel that energy. So, what is it about this time of the year? Do you think that it creates that, and why does that not? Can we not tap in? Well, I teach people how to tap into energy now, but why don't we tap into that energy all
Um,
through the year?
I wish, I think it's all the booze. No, I'm kidding. Um, you know what? It's nostalgia for me. But I can tell you at the mall, there's none such spirit of Christmas at the mall. Um,
Yeah.
when you're gathering with friends,
Hmm.
and it's just because you want to see them and you just want to share some stories. I think we don't make the effort the rest of the year because we're
Yeah.
busy, but Christmas hits us and we're like, oh, this is a social time and that kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, but
I don't know
why?
how to
Why?
answer
Now,
that.
there's something. That's a great idea. Now, I see what you mean, and but you very often say to me, "Oh, I'm going to have a cappuccino with my pals at the beauty parlor or down the mall or wherever you enjoy going to meet up with your pals." And when back in the days when we had our show, and you said to me, "Oh, I'm doing this," I could feel that buzz from you, that energy.
Oh,
Okay,
I love
and it was
seeing my
wonderful.
friends. Yeah.
My pals, when I talk about the pals that used to come around to the house and to see mom and the tree and what have you, they're still my friends. We're still like brothers from we were 14 years old.
That's
I'm 50,
beautiful.
not now, but um, we're still that close. In fact, my oldest and dearest friend texts me every single day without
Oh,
fail,
that's nice.
every
Yeah.
single day. Now we have a thing now where we, and please don't go, oh my god, but we refer to each other as the lads, okay,
Hmm.
and
The
we
boys.
still the boys, the lads,
Yeah, it's the
and we
same thing.
still
The
meet up
boys.
and we have a weekend together. We try and make it more than one a year, but with me being in a different country, it's sometimes a bit difficult because my schedule doesn't allow, or schedule, as you guys say, doesn't
I
allow
use
for me.
both.
But when we get together, it's like we've never been apart. You know,
That's
we
that's
it's not,
beautiful.
it's not like, oh my god, it's so good to see you. Oh my god, you've got fat and old. What happened to you? No, it's, oh my god, Paul, and big cuddle and stuff. And so I I told everybody just before you came onto the show that I believe wholeheartedly and unequivocally that we have a thing called a psychic shelf. Okay, now you called it nostalgia. Okay, that's one of
Yes.
the things that I teach everybody. We always have to have labels. Okay, that's fine. There's no
No, I
there's no
think nostalgia is it's a feeling, right? And it
it's a
keeps
feeling,
things
yes.
going. But if
So
you don't
I call it the
have a
psychic
good
shelf.
childhood memory, you won't
Yes,
necessarily. You can get nostalgia by visiting your old neighborhood, right? So,
very much so. And
yeah.
that's one of the great things of having Google Earth. Sometimes I
Yes.
do go for a walk around my old neighborhood. I do actually go for a walk around there.
Yeah.
But when you were telling me, now this is a teaching moment, okay, my dearest darling Amelia, when you were telling us, the rest of the world, about your Christmas tree and the specific baubles, how did you feel?
Oh, mixed emotions. Some are just for me the memories of people, the ones that I have there to symbolize the loved ones that I've lost and the loved ones that I have.
Yes,
Um, bring happiness. They don't bring sorrow. Like I was starting to say, my dad loved cannoli. I actually found an ornament that's a cannoli.
there you
I couldn't
go.
believe it. And I ordered it last year, and then he was a builder, so I got the builder things. Like there's just there's things like for me when my brother passed away, time stood still. So I have an old fashioned probably early 1900s styled cuckoo clock
Oh wow.
hanging that is time stopped,
Right.
and that reminds me of how everything just
Okay.
stood still for me because I lost him. But there's beautiful things. There's pictures of my mom when just before coming here.
Yeah.
There I have photographs on my tree and little beautiful ornament frames, and pictures of my daughter when she was little, and it makes you feel so happy, and you
There
go
you go.
back again and relive it. It's
Yes, that's
beautiful.
what I'm talking about. The
Yeah.
psychic, the psychic shelf. Okay, all
Yes.
those amazing
I get
memories
it.
create an amazing energy. So
Yeah.
you've got all those magnificent memories. Now, one thing jumped into play there. While I found myself moving towards Paul Francis, the psychic medium. I was going, no, 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 pull back, pull back. And when you were talking about your dad and the cannoli, it was it would be one of those moments that I would say your dad influenced that moment.
It
Okay,
was the last moment that I had with him before he fell ill. It was literally a month before he passed away. So yeah, it's strong
it's
moment for
a
me.
strong influence,
Yeah.
and um, I don't know if I haven't had the opportunity to sit down and talk with you for such a long time, which I feel bad about.
Oh, it's
But
okay. Everybody
once,
gets busy, right? Me
course we do.
too.
I told a story about climbing on the airplane for the final time, sitting
I
by the
remember
window
when he passed away.
when he passed away,
Yeah.
and I was flying back to the UK, and a lady sat beside me, and she reached into her little bag, and she pulled out a magazine, which was the magazine was called Athletics Weekly. Now, to the majority of the people on the planet, they'd be like, "Well," but to me, that was the cannoli because my dad was an athlete. And my dad
Yeah.
sent me to the shop every Friday
And
night
that was your
to pick that
sign.
magazine up. So your cannoli was that magazine for me. And the scary moment, I've said again just before you came on, my dad wasn't he was like me. We didn't have any patience. So he wasn't going to wait around on the other side. So he gets this woman to sit beside me. She pulls out a magazine that he sent me to
You
get
want to
for
make
him
sure
every
it
Friday.
got to you.
Yeah. And she turns out to be an athlete and she runs for a team called the
Well,
Harriers, which happened to be my dad's team. So I'm
oh,
like,
there is no such thing as coincidence,
none.
folks. Yeah.
And then the third part of that whole trilogy, because he made it three. I flew back to the UK. Johanna picked me up. She goes, "Oh my God, you look terrible. Listen, no argument here. Go to bed." And I went, "You know what? You're not going to get any argument. I'm going to bed." So I went into the bedroom. I hopped up onto the bed. I flipped on the TV. Put on my favorite TV show, which was it's a TV show by cars. And they said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we got a surprise for you this week. We're going to talk about the DeLorean." And as my dad worked for DeLorean,
Wow. Yeah.
3 for 3 inside of 12 hours. Now,
Amazing.
so the moments that all of as I'm telling you that now, I have that same mixed emotion about the cannoli. The cannoli brings a beautiful memory, but it also brings a little bit of a sting,
It's bittersweet.
bittersweet.
Yeah.
Um, However, the concept that it reminds me of the very last weekend I had with my dad. It was just me and him, and he dropped away. He dropped off all of his standoffish, hard nosed businessman kind of a man,
Yeah.
and he in his own words, which I'll share with you some other time, asked me if what I did was real, and I told him all about how it works, and apparently that was the moment. From that moment forward, his progression to crossing had got a lot easier.
Oh,
So
that's
the last
beautiful.
gift I was able to give to him was how to progress that much more easier. Now, I'm bringing that particular story up because I want to still go back to talk about the spirit of Christmas
Hmm.
because as I was talking to the beautiful Michelle, and we are in total agreement that they say Halloween is the time of the year when the veil between the two worlds is at its thinnest. But I totally disagree with that.
Me
I
too.
actually believe that this time of the year is when it's at its thinnest because we are at our highest in energy. Okay. Now, I know you're one of the best mediums that I know.
No, thank
Um,
you.
and we raise our energy up. Well, at this
Yeah.
time of the year, it's already up.
Yes.
So that
We're flying right now.
connection, yeah, that connection is so much easier
Yeah.
that it's not just the psychic mediums of the world that are able to tap in.
No.
Everybody can if they just take the moment.
Yeah. You're
Go back to moments
passionate,
again.
right? Yeah, yeah. Moments. You're passionate, right? You
Yeah.
think of loved ones that you've lost. You think of the new loved ones in your life and new
Mm.
babies and new life. And oh, I love babies, but like it's there's so much passion. There's so much joy and a
Yes.
lot of booze. Just saying, I don't drink. I don't drink, but
Well, funny that Johanna doesn't drink.
no,
So for the
I'll
last
have a
10
glass of
years,
wine once in a while,
yes,
but not.
for the last 10 years, I'll have a bottle of beer or a glass of wine periodically. But
Yeah,
because she doesn't drink, I don't need to drink. So I don't.
I
It's
don't
when I
think
go
it's a
back to
good
my
idea.
pals, it's a different kettle of
That's
fish. When
different, but I don't think it's a good idea when you're a medium because if you can't control everything, you just don't know what's going to slip through.
I would never
It's
ever,
not a good
while I
idea.
was working,
Yeah.
I never allowed the two spirits to cross. Although
No,
that
that's a
being
good
said,
one.
I'm sure you guys know of a dear friend of mine who's now no longer with us either, Derek Akora, and he was of Most Haunted. I'm sure you guys have.
Yes, yes.
Well, I sat in Derek's kitchen, shall we say, till about 3:30 in the morning, and we were on a completely different spirit. But let's anyway. So
Wow.
yeah, I said to him, I said, Derek, let the world see this Derek, not the one that's on Most Haunted. Let them
That's
see
a good
this one.
show.
He was a wonderful guy, so full of stories. He was a storyteller, and so happy. Remembering people is something I brought up a bit earlier as well. Um, one of the things that I'm sure you will come across as well. One of the things during my thousands and thousands of reads over the years, I heard so many times that they said, "Set the table," meaning at Christmas time, don't be thinking about us gone. Set a place at the table for
We
those
do.
that we
Yeah.
would have done on a normal basis.
Hmm.
And so that's why I was kind of bringing in the discussion about with your dear dad and my dear dad, because this year I will absolutely make it a point that we celebrate them
Hmm.
as well as our Christmas. You know,
Hmm.
although it doesn't really look much like Christmas right here, but it's all in the other room.
I'm in my office. I actually, if you can see highlighted, I have that. Just I don't usually have lights in the back. I like the whole dark spooky thing, but um, that were they were all gifts from my nephew. They're World War I
Right. Okay.
items, and there's a rosary there from
Ah,
World War I that a chaplain carried, and there's also a shell casing from the Battle of the Bulge. That is just, I know it's not Pearl Harbor, but that is just a, a bit of a,
Battle of the Bulge was a big thing. It was a big, big, big thing.
yeah.
Um,
I also have postcards that were written from women to their husbands in
yeah.
while they were in the fields and that have passed away. My nephew buys these things for me, but yeah, their collection. So that's just to say that I'm thinking of all those who perished on Pearl
Definitely.
Harbor and after that as well.
Well, there's a very famous song that celebrates that exact time, and oddly enough, that exact battle you're talking about, the
Hmm.
Battle of the Bulge. You know what that song is?
No, what song?
Paul McCartney, "Pipes of Peace."
Oh, I never connected that.
If you think about his
Wow.
video, watch the
Yeah,
video. It's
yeah.
the video is based upon the Battle of the Bulge, and the Pipes of Peace. That's what that song's all about.
I have such a connection with Normandy. But anyways, this is not a downer show. Yeah.
I'm
But
so glad to see that we've got a lot more people coming in. Lynn says you can have spirit when you. I'll just click on that because Michelle taught me that.
yeah.
Uh, there you go. You can have that spirit when you have a mad family like mine, two sons that
Well,
still think they're children. All men,
that's
Lynn, it's
beautiful.
not just you, that all men think that they're children. I'm
Well,
a
they
big
don't think
believer.
they are.
I knew it was
I
coming.
I grew up with three
It was
brothers.
like I
That's
just
all
put up
I'm
a red flag and
saying.
go, here you go.
My
I
brothers used to
believe that
scare me
men.
putting together gifts because there was always extra screws, and they're not supposed to be extra, right? So
Oh,
I know what
well,
it's
I
like to be
believe
in a
men
house full
grow.
of men.
Well, you watch. Okay, I'm going to say something to you guys now, and all the ladies are either going to agree with me or now look out for what I've just said. I believe that men grow to the age of 19, and then our bodies just get older. So I totally believe that we grow to the age of 19. Our brain says we're 19. Our bodies go, no, you can't do it anymore. and our brain goes, "Yeah, we can," know. But that's a constant concept that I totally agree with. And you started laughing, so that over you're going, "Oh yeah, that
I
makes
think
sense."
it's important to stay childlike. I think that not all the time, but most of the time, I think that's what keeps you thriving, and it keeps you living fully.
Where
If
does the
you're
concept
always
of young
serious
at
and
heart?
always responsible, it's kind of boring,
Yeah. Well, sometimes I've noticed that. Oh my God, I've noticed that I do things, and I go, "Oh my God, that's my dad coming out of me,"
right?
or even my
Oh,
mom. I'll do
yeah.
things that I'll go, "Oh, you just sound." Patty, my brother, he said, "Oh my God, you sound just like mom," and I'm like, "Oh dear."
Oh no.
Well, it's kind of thing is like, yeah, pick up this code or do this, and I go, "Oh my God, you sound just like your dad." But things as we get older, the things that well, anyway, it's the concept of Christmas that keeps us young, and it's the whole concept of the idea of gifts. Now, you've been very forthcoming in what it means to you, and thank you for being so forthcoming, because
Oh my
that's quite a
gosh,
tough
no.
thing,
I
especially with the
love
cannoli.
being here.
And bless your heart for being on here tonight. It's helped beyond words.
Oh,
Um, I'm so glad that you, Michelle and Joe, are here, and Lynn and I, Elaine, and of course Roger. And Roger is the Mexican with the Latino psychic visions. He's a lovely, lovely chap.
love it. Love the
Um,
name.
Latino psychic visions,
I
and he
love
has a
it. I
great
have a little
story.
Latino in me, just saying. My great grandmother was from
Oh,
Spain,
oh,
so
well, there you go.
yeah, I got
Look
that
out for
two
Roger
two
Sean on Wednesday
drops.
night. I kind of like. I always say those people are so clever. They can speak English and Mexican. I struggle with English, so
Spanish. Spanish, not
Spanish,
Mexican.
Spanish. I beg
Yes.
your pardon. Yeah, the third most spoken language in the world. French being the second. So now I guess throwing me completely off my strain of thought I had going there.
Sorry.
Completely gone. Um. Oh yeah, back to the reasons why we have that spirit of Christmas. Now, it's amazing how a lot of people, a lot of places, and a lot of things focus in on the, shall we say, the quantity of Christmas. How many gifts
Oh,
you got on the tree, what kind of gifts you're buying, how expensive they are, blah 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 blah. I want to put a big capital B and big capital S right there, and leave it at that, because if you look at one of the greatest stories of all time, which is for modern day people, we know it as Scrooge. Okay,
mm.
if you look at that particular concept, for all of the Christian faiths that really look negatively towards ghosts and spirits, that entire story is based on spirits.
Oh, Christmas Carol's my favorite film, though. I have to watch it every Christmas Eve. Yeah.
And my favorite version of that is Jim Carrey's version, Your
Of
Fellow
course.
Countrymen.
Yes.
So you've got the Ghosts of Christmas Past, which is what we're discussing tonight. I mean, they look at
Mm.
it from a different concept. We look at it from our joy perspective. Okay. I don't remember a single year, and I'm very, very honest about this. I don't remember a single year that I go, "Oh, how come I didn't get this? Or how come I didn't get that?" I may have asked Santa for specific things, and that particular thing didn't turn up. But the gifts that did turn up, we were very, very grateful for. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I never asked Anna for anything,
Didn't you?
to be honest with you. No.
You must have been an extremely good girl because you still
No,
got everything.
my daughter is like me. She doesn't ask for anything. I always have to say, Savvy, do you want that? Do you want, but now she's 25 and she has more money than I do. But I mean, like, she can buy her own things and stuff like that. And I still try to surprise her. Of course, I only have one child. It's different for me. I can
Yeah,
spoil her. But she was like me as a child that didn't ask. You had to ask them. Like, I would be
yeah,
afraid to say something. My mother probably would have backhanded me. She's like old school Italian, right?
of
She had
course.
me in her 40s. It's a different kind of life. But yeah, I didn't even visit Santa until when we went with the school. And I remember it being the first time. because it wasn't something we did. I came from very, poor immigrants that had to struggle for everything that they got and work really hard
Okay.
for it. So it was a different life for me. I wish I had that life, that I gave my daughter, where we're always visiting Santa. Did you get to visit Santa?
Oh God, yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
see, I didn't.
I mean, that was something that my parents, they I think my dad had the same energy that I have about Christmas. I think he revisited his childhood, and he grew up on a farm where, there was no electricity. The
Yeah,
outhouse was
my mom
outside.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then again, they must have had some amazing Christmases. I don't remember them telling me a lot about it, to be truthful, but they did make ours special. They
Yeah,
made
I
our ours, and there was five of us.
Wow, yeah, there was four of us. My sister passed away before I was born. I had stockings and I had beautiful Christmases, but my mother would
Yeah.
say Italians don't visit Santa. And she would talk about the Befana. That's what came, it's a
All
culture
right.
thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
But
Yep.
all I wanted was Santa
Um,
and chocolate cake.
I was, I was about
So
to
the
say, and you
Italian
still do
rum
today,
stuff, man.
but I mean, I suppose the concept of La Befana was for us was, if you don't go to bed, you will not get. And it would, and but my mom
Yes.
was somebody you didn't cross. She said that, she didn't say it to just use up air. It was
No,
like, you won't.
no,
Okay,
different
so we
generation.
went boom to bed. But the energy that we don't realize we're creating, we don't realize it because we're not. When you're a child, you have one thing in mind: is how many gifts and where are they? Okay, but when you're an adult and you start to understand what Christmas really is all about, you realize that every single time you were building up a vault of energy, or you're building up a beautiful sort of, my psychic shelf, lovely big jars of energy that is there for you to tap into. Tonight I'm hoping that we're talking to everybody tonight, and they're literally tapping into it in their minds by saying, you know what, I remember when I used to do this, and I remember when that happened, and I remember when we did this. Oh yes, and I do the same thing as Amelia. I do that with my tree, and I have this specific gift that represents mom, dad, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, cousin, blah blah. Um, Now, while they're going through that mental journey in here and in here, that energy is being recreated and reinvigorated into, hopefully, that they will bring forward through the rest of this Christmas. I love everything you've shared tonight, says Elaine, sorry. I have learned new things, and I'm excited to be able to share them with my family and friends. Hey, you couldn't have said a nicer thing to us
Oh, you
tonight.
should read it for those that aren't watching, just listening. Read
Um,
her. Yeah. Sorry, we're
so
just this is Paul's first night.
Yes, my very first night. So
Yes.
I'm still getting into the concept that we've got a lot of people listening to us tonight. So Eileen has said, I love everything you've shared tonight, and I've learned new things. I'm excited just to be able to share time and family with my friends. Thank you very, very, very much. Because you know what? That's made my night. That one thing has made my night. Really, thank you for saying that. It's not what's under the tree, it's who is around it that counts, says Lynn. Do you know what? Perfect. Perfect. It is who's around it. Now, how many people have it in them to stand around and sing around a tree or around a piano? Do you do that?
Well, I used to sing, not just you. So yeah, if you're gonna do something, my voice is gonna belt out. Yeah, I will do it. At Christmas carols, I think no one can sing a Christmas carol poorly. I find that everyone's a star when they sing Christmas carols, and you're tapping into that spirit again.
There we go. What's your
Yeah.
favorite? Come on, share. What's your favorite?
Oh, Silent Night. I love, and of course,
Where did
Jingle
that come from?
Bells.
Where did that come
Silent
from?
Night. When I
Yeah.
was in school, in primary school, we call in Canada, we have the same labels for our education as the
Yes.
UK. When I was in primary school, we used to every morning. This was before Christmas became taboo in public school system. Just saying, go down to the gymnasium, the whole school, and we would sing a half hour of carols before beginning our day. So
Perfect.
that's what I remember it from. And,
So
it,
what I was asking you was, where did the song or the carol "Silent Night"? It's actually, its original name was "Stealeth
oh,
Knock."
I'm sorry, you meant like practically.
Yeah, because I tell you what,
Sorry.
you're so close to it. It's just right over your right shoulder.
That's right.
Stille Nacht, the silent
Yes.
night,
Yes. And
and
I
that's
like
where
O
that came from.
Tannenbaum.
Oh, well, there you go.
It's the
So,
only song I can play on the piano. But yeah.
what were those fingernails of yours? Oh my
Oh,
goodness!
you'd be surprised. Yeah, I don't tick anymore, but yeah, my daughter played. So, but yeah, that's one. I have a music book for the piano, like
Yeah,
all the songs, all the carols, and I love them.
it's a beautiful thing to do. It's when we used to, and we're going back again to my Roger, by the way, is a professional guitarist, and he's played
Oh
with a lot of
wow,
big names, and I mean
beautiful.
really big names.
Hmm.
But back in the days when I used to perform, and we'd be on stage, we would try and in normal everyday songs, okay, we would try and get in as many carols as possible in the song. So if we were
Mm.
singing Mustang Sally,
Oh, I love
I
that.
would break into the middle of in the middle of it. I'd break into Jingle Bells,
Hmm.
and try and get
Oh, during
so
Mustang Sally.
yeah, so
Wow, when did
just
you do
when you were
that?
playing, and I'll just break into Jingle Bells. The lads be looking at me going, "What are you doing?" And I just
Where
go with
would you
me.
put Jingle
But
Bells in Mustang Sally, Paul?
I just I was able to
Brilliant.
I was just able to get the tonality and get the key and then pull
Wow.
another song into it.
That's because you're
And
so creative.
oh well,
Yeah.
that's one side that mom
And
gave
he's
to me.
talented. He's got a beautiful voice.
I haven't sang for. I've done a lot of recordings over the last 2 years, but my career on stage has come to a grinding halt.
Oh,
Shall we
well, with everything happening, but
say?
I haven't sang in years and years. Like I really literally would have to start from scratch. But we know what we do. Can I
Yeah,
share?
yeah,
When when I was younger and we used to have like these big Christmases, we used to do the 12 days of Christmas, but we would change
yeah,
what they were to Italian funny things, right? Like stupid things like we would say instead of five golden rings, I remember this with my husband, we'd saying five artichokes, but in Italian,
yeah,
because it's a hard thing to say in Italian. It's carciofoli. So it's like you try singing that and then going fast, right? Four, blah,
yeah,
blah, blah, three. And we would have to remember, and we would go around the table and the cousins would give something
yeah.
one at a time. So we could do the 12 at the time. This was before anyone was married. And oh, it was so much fun. You think about those times and everybody that sat at the
Wow,
table and how many are gone, but we were so fortunate to have that. And right now I'm just so happy talking about it. But it's a fun thing. You should try
but
it with your
look,
kids.
look, look,
Change
look
the
what you've just
items.
done. Look what
Yeah.
you've done, and you do it every
What did I
time.
do?
You have just brought the spirit of Christmas in.
Oh yay. Ah,
You've done it. You've done it. What the entire show was about, the spirit of
good.
Christmas and the Christmas spirit. I mean, when you were talking about that, it brought me back to when I was at my grandparents, because my mom and dad, because it was my dad's parents, and all of his brothers and sisters, and they would all arrive at my grandparents, and that's what they would
Oh,
do. They would do fun
beautiful.
things like that, and it was all, well, the Irish are very like the Italians. It's all about food, so it. And my grandparents didn't drink alcohol, so the alcohol wasn't a big flowing thing. But it was all about food. It was all about having fun and singing and chatting and the crackling of the fire and the Christmas tree. And oh my God, I'm
Yes.
bursting with energy now. Probably
And
won't sleep until tomorrow.
chestnuts. Yes.
So that's a big thing that we didn't have a lot of
Yeah,
in
well,
Ireland.
the chestnut trees are all over Italy's backyards. Like everybody has a chestnut
Right.
tree there. It's like an apple tree here. So, yeah.
Olives. Just I was thinking about you again, because then around sort of, it was July August time. Johanna and I were looking at maybe getting a house in Italy. We were really look. We started
Oh,
looking, and we were
yeah.
talking to what do you guys call them? Real estate brokers, with the Italian version. About it's not off the
Yeah, real
card.
estate brokers.
Real estate
Real estate
brokers.
brokers with a
One of my
hand. Me, you're
favorite
Italian.
Italians is Gino Di Campo. Do you know Gino Di Campo? Oh, look up Gino Di Campo. You'll love him.
What? How are you teaching me, schooling me on Italians?
He's an Italian chef. He's a very, very well-known
Oh, is he
Italian
the
chef.
Arte di Cuoco? Is he that one?
I don't think so. He's just a character.
Yeah.
He's so funny, and he's there's a brilliant show with Gino D'Acampo, Gordon.
Oh, I know who he is. Yes.
Little.
As soon as you told me, yes, he's hilarious. I do
Oh,
watch them together.
how
They're funny
and
together. Their trip in
in fact,
Vegas was hilarious.
oh, just mind blowing.
Yeah.
And that sandwich it cost 10 grand or something stupid like
The
that.
burger.
Oh, 10 grand for a sandwich. Get a life. Roger's just shared with us. Oh, well, Lynn has just shared a big thing. It's a big thing in the UK, not necessarily around the world, but panto is a pan. Do you guys have
What's
pantos?
panto?
Well, panto is like a play, but it's
Highland.
designed purely for Christmas time. Okay,
Oh, okay.
so I mean, they have very specific characters in panto. They'll do pantos on Jack and the Beanstalk and
So
various
it's
things
like
like that.
Christmas
It's a
concerts.
it's a very
Yes.
what's the right way to it's a very Mickey take of it,
Yeah.
but it's a very big Christmassy thing.
Yeah. I
So
understand it. I think I watched it in one of the movies with Amelia Clark
very likely,
the last Christmas.
yes,
It's in the film.
yes, it is, and that's right. Oh, we've just been told 5 minutes. I can't believe
Yes.
2 hours.
Yes. Yes.
But
You're
just
down to
before,
the end.
oh my goodness, I better get Rogers. Roger says, I try to bring back what my parents did for me into my children's lives, making it
Yes.
magical, special, and beautiful.
Yes.
Do you know
I love
what?
that,
There are no
Roger.
better words.
No.
Roger, thank you for that. And his beautiful wife, Faye, who spends a
Oh,
lot
I
of time in
love her
Scotland.
name.
Faye, yeah, beautiful Faye. And I always talk with Roger and Faye. They're just two phenomenal people. Ladies and gentlemen of the world, if you're listening to my voice tonight on the beautiful Amelia's voice, or if you're actually watching this, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being the first show and making it so very memorable. Having Amelia on has just been literally the angel at the top of the tree.
Aw, I'll send you the bill.
No doubt.
My pleasure and
Um,
my honor to be here. It's
uh,
wonderful. Thank you. I'm truly honored.
no, please. You didn't have to do this, but you've done it, and you know what? An hour has just gone like that.
That's why we used to have a 3-hour show.
It's true, isn't it? It just and you were like you would say to me, Paul, you need to wind up this read. We're nearly done. We can't be done. Oh my God, is that the time? And
They're
I'd be
like,
going
they're
to
going to
bed.
cut off our airstream.
Literally, I'd be going to bed while the sun was coming up,
Yes.
and I was good times again. Energy of the past on my psychic shelf. You all have a psychic shelf. It's all there. Just use your memories to connect into it. Use your love. Use your strength, and use your memories that are current to be able to tap into that psychic shelf. And you know what? Look around you. You have beautiful people. I have a beautiful person sitting right in front of me right now, and that's all available. Just look for it. It's there. Okay. Don't wait till it's too late. Make it happen now. Okay. We have minutes left, and I don't even know how many of those we have, but I'm
No,
watching for it to cut off.
you have to.
But my darling Melia, I can't wait till the next time that we sit again in front of each other. My darling
Anytime.
Michelle, Joe, thank you all so very much for making this an amazing, very special broadcast. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Don't forget, you got these wonderful guys and their shows. Look out for them. Make sure you're a part of them because they're amazing people with amazing things to teach you. Thank you very much. Good night and have a fantastic Christmas. I'll see you all very soon.